Saturday, 28th of March, 2026 at 5:42 p.m. here in Amsterdam, North Holland, the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Welcome once again to our cosmic journey. It is your designer and your dev here for that great dev and design astrology podcast content that you ache for. I am your designer, Jake. He is your engineer, Trey. Hello, Trey.
Hello, Jake. We look like we're in some kind of prison or something.
Yeah, we look like we're in a prison or an exercise book. But the thing is that while we look like we are in different, here, I'll go low, you go high.
Okay, here. Ready?
While we look like we're in different rooms, in fact, we are not. So he's right there. How fun is that?
Actually, we're in completely different countries. That was just the magic of...
That's the magic of AI. Actually, this is the last use of Sora on OpenAI's platform. And we wanted to punch a hole in the ozone for that joke. Today's episode is called I Wish It Were Saturday. This is based on the Bengals song, I Wish It Were Manic Monday. And it is Saturday, so the whole thing doesn't make sense. But that's fine. We're going to go through some sync progress today. And we'll talk a bit about the Cosmic Work Week. But before we get to all that, Mr. Henry, of course, we start with the check-in question. And it is your check-in question. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Okay, great.
The Protestant work ethic has brought us many terrible joys across the
terrible joys.
Terrible joys across the history of it.
Protestantism.
Well, I mean, it's not really oh, that's hard to say.
Protestantism?
Now I can't even say it. You know what? I'm not even going to say it.
The work ethic of some denomination of Christianity.
Yeah. I mean, after the Protestant Reformation. Jeez, Louise. Don't leave it in. I'm going. So my question for you is, the check-in question is, we have been in the process of sort of rethinking our work week and actually moving our sort of like days off, or the days that we're doing sort of like non-work things, to the luminary days of Sunday, Monday. And that lines up pretty well with a lot of where we live as well. There's many companies that are also closed Sunday, Monday. And there's also a lot of people that are going towards a 4-day work week and things like this. And so my question for you is just generally, what traditions or what sort of things that we do on an everyday basis would you like to see transformed, and in what way?
For me, and I don't think that every society does this, but there is this expectation that you go to bed at a certain time, you wake up at a certain time, and then you work, and then you have 8 hours of work. You've got 3 blocks. You've got your work block, your after work play block, and your sleep block. And I don't really vibe with all of that. I wish that we were more like maybe Spanish society, where we chose to really embrace the idea of the siesta. And hey, maybe with global warming and increasing temperatures, we're all going to have to stay inside midday and take a nap anyways. So I'm all about it. Not about global warming, but about the midday naps and standardizing that and making that part of a new stitch of maybe American society, but I much prefer to fix Dutch society instead. What about you, Mr. Henry?
Yeah, that's a good one, because I think we both really enjoy taking an afternoon nap. And I don't know about you, but I still feel a weird sense of guilt if I do that. Or like if somebody randomly comes over and we just happen to be taking a nap, or one of us is taking a nap or whatever, it's always like a weird thing of like, oh, they're taking a nap. It's like, they shouldn't be taking a nap. They should be working.
Yeah, my Uncle Jim and my Aunt Mary Ann very famously said, you will do nothing with us from like 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. because that is our nap time. And my parents used to make fun of that. I shouldn't say they made fun of that. They weren't jiving with it because they thought it was so strange and weird, but they held fast to that. And I love that about my Uncle Jim and my Aunt Mary Ann. So good on them.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Nap time. I take after my Uncle Jim like in lots of different dimensions. So it makes perfect sense that at 2 p.m. I'm like, I'm done. I am done. And also Winston Churchill, and he was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool cat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, snaps for Winston Churchill. Good check-in, everybody.
Wait, I didn't do my side of the check-in.
Oh, I thought you were done.
We could be done. We could do it one.
No, wait, what is it? What is it? Go quick.
One of the things that I would like to see changed is, and I think we're kind of trying to do this already, is to allow for spontaneous interaction. And
Plan for spontaneity.
that is not what I said.
Allow for spontaneity.
Allow for spontaneity.
Which is a very un-Dutch concept.
Yeah. This is definitely something in the Netherlands that I think, pretty famously, Dutch people are not super into, which is like, if you're going to get together, you plan for it, you have a time, etc. And then if you do plan for something and you have a time, then the expectation is that you show up on time and you do the thing. And that is all fine and good, but it is somewhat, it's just really nice if somebody just stops by and says hello. And I think part of that is letting go of the shame of like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. My place doesn't, like I've got laundry out or whatever. And I think in a way, if somebody can just show up and you can hang out with them, even if your place is messy and you've got laundry sitting in the living room or whatever, that it is, that you're sort of saying, we have the kind of relationship where we're close enough that I don't care if you see that I have laundry because I'm a normal human. It's not like a fancy dinner date. It's just you came over and we can hang out. And I ran into our neighbor one boat over and we smoked a pipe together because she'd never smoked a pipe before and I was going to smoke a pipe. And it was just a wonderful interaction that just kind of happened out of nowhere.
Yeah. Oliver, oh gosh, I forgot his name. The guy who wrote Meditations for Mortals. Oliver Beckman, something like that. Ugh, that's wrong, but it's close. He wrote in Meditation for Mortals the idea of not rustic hospitality, but it is very much like this kind of hospitality, like being open and welcome, but not making everything so clean and perfect within your space so that you always kind of pass off on hospitality because you're always waiting for like, oh, now it's going to be a planned thing and I have to clean everything and whatever. And there's a big thing that goes with it.
And not going the other direction, which I think, because I think it used to be like in the US, I think when I was younger, it was much more common for people to just show up at your door. And that was probably a function of not having like like chat services and mass communication and things like this. But also some people would, just always have their house spick and span and you could never have any. I remember I would hang out with some friends and they would just be like, their place would be always perfectly spotless. And, you could never have anything out. Everything had to be washed immediately, that kind of thing. So that anytime anybody did show up, you looked like you were ready for them.
Oliver Berkman, the term was scruffy hospitality. That's what it was.
Scruffy hospitality.
Scruffy hospitality. So let's bring scruffy hospitality and midday naps into our world. Big snaps, everyone. Big snaps, everybody, for scruffy hospitality and Winston Churchill. Mr. Henry, let us begin the actual part of the podcast where we talk about what we did by bringing up your face and talking about sync. Go for it. There's your face.
So the sync journey continues. Last week we showed, you might remember from our last episode, where we showed the user logging in, verifying account, and device registration, and sort of that entire workflow. And now we have a new piece to this, which is when you start to make changes within the application, when we start making changes in the application, we start storing those as mutations so that we can sync them across devices. This is going to be a little bit of a partly UI, partly sort of like looking behind the curtains to the dev tools. But that's kind of where we're at right now, and I still think it's kind of like cool and fun.
I promise not to put chicken noises in front of Trey if he ever has to open up a terminal.
I'm not gonna open a terminal. It's still gonna be visual. It's just like we're gonna kind of look at an Excel spreadsheet within the application. Let's say.
That's my love language right there. Give me Excel.
What I am going to do is bring up the developer tools. We have we showed this a little bit last time too. We have object store where we store the state of all of the things in the application. And we don't need to get into the nuts and bolts of that right at the moment, but now we have this other thing called mutations. And mutations are how we know what things changed so that we can sync them across devices. I will fiddle with some settings here so that you can see right now we don't have any mutations queued up. However, if I uncheck show Zodiac here, for example, then it's letting me know that I need to refresh. And then if I come in here, then I can see there's a mutation. And if we look at this mutation, there's a couple of interesting things here. So one is that we are mapping from our internal object store, kind of like how we understand and store things. So we know that this is a setting. It has its own unique ID, so that unique ID will persist across devices. And we know also that it has a name and it has a value, which was the value that it just got set to. But there's also another interesting thing here called claimed. And this was something that I learned about how you have in an application like ours, where we have the expectation that you might do a lot of work offline before you get back online and start syncing again. And in that case, we want to make sure that when you do get back online, it's not like, oh, the application just sits there for 20 minutes or, probably wouldn't be that long, but for however long, syncing your data back up and you can't really do anything with it, which is kind of the kludgy way that I think a lot of applications that do this kind of syncing might do it. Mm-hmm. And so what we want to do actually is we want to batch up those mutations and send them in little batches. And then the server can then also respond with little batches of stuff as well. So, in the rare case that you might have worked across devices while they were both offline and we need to sync both of them up. And so but it's a tricky thing because without digging too much into the details of how transactions work, there's this idea of transactions always being able to be in total rolled back. So if you think about like a database and you're going to change a bunch of data in a database, and one small change of a big chunk of changes fails, then you want all of the rest of that stuff to fail as well, because you don't want to end up with kind of a partial thing.
Yeah, and because that will put your data into a state that will be problematic, and then all of a sudden things will get very funny from the user experience perspective. So rather than have one small thing fail and the rest of it go and put yourself into a bad data state, we would rather say, we're going to fail here downwards. We're going to fail downwards. We'll fail upwards as well. And then
we're going to fail in every direction.
Every which way we're failing. And then there's a mitigation path that we could probably put in place. Trey and I haven't talked really about that.
Yeah. There are a couple of scenarios where the application might need to get some information from the user to resolve things, and that could be just as a part of a normal working in sync. If you've ever worked in an application and you were doing something and all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a couple versions of this. Which one do you want to keep? That's what it's doing.
I have that. What would you want to do?
Yeah, and we'll have that as well.
And they try to give reasonable options, and many of these systems will also try very hard to explain what the implications of the decision are, but those also can be very difficult to understand. It is a huge usability issue, and it's something that we want to solve.
Yes, we definitely want to. We definitely want to try to do a better job at that than I think a lot of applications do. But to come back to this idea of claimed, it is actually not possible to have something that is truly transactional when it's across a network. This is like computer science and physics together. It's simply not possible. And so what we do is we can get close. And the way that we get close is the application says, okay, I'm going to batch up a few mutations, and it claims those mutations internally within its own state system. And it says, don't bother these ones. Don't touch these things. And I'm going to show a little bit about like what touching these things looks like in a second. How it internally touches its own things. If you want to put it.
I'm going to show you what it's like to touch your own things. That's part of what the system.
We're expecting this demo to go that way.
Boy, this demo has taken a very sharp Berlin turn.
Yeah, I mean the red light district is like right around the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're aligned. Anyway, so it claims a batch of these mutations, and then it tells the server, I'm sending you these mutations. And it sends them over. And then the server says, got them, persisted them, all's good. And then when it responds with that, then the application says, okay, those claimed mutations, I can now clear out of the queue. If the server has any problems, then we we don't release that claim and we try them again. And here's the really cool part of this is that if there's a number of scenarios where, let's say the application crashes, like Cosmic just crashes in the middle of the server has received those mutations, it has applied them locally, but the response never got back to the application because the application crashed. So now you're just sitting there with some claimed mutations in this queue. The application starts back up. The first thing that it does is it says, are there any claimed mutations? If there are, send them back to the server. Now, the server, because of unique IDs, is able to say, whoa, hey, I already had those actually, so we're all good. And then the mutations get cleared out on the client side and all should be good. So we have some ways to sort of deal with a number of different scenarios here. All this to say, it's relatively complicated. I'm very much enjoying it from an implementation perspective, but this is also why it's taking time. The other thing that I wanted to show here is about this claimed. If a mutation is not claimed, and I come back here and I click on Show Zodiac again, if I refresh this, I only have one mutation. The other mutation got cleared out. Why? Because
it's the same mutation. Why would you go back and forth with the same mutation?
Exactly. We only really care about the state of the object at the sort of last mutation state. So
that would be like a do-si-do. Like swing your partner around and round. You're like, you're already in the same spot.
Exactly.
For the purposes of claims and sync, we do not do square dancing. We do not swing your partner round and round. We just, if you start here and you end here, there is no movement. We just say like, the square dancing that happens within the cosmic sync is stand still. The best kind of square dancing.
Yes, perfectly described metaphor.
Thank you.
So anyway, that's the stuff. So now we are queuing up, and I actually have already some of the plumbing on the back end ready for receiving the mutations. It's not quite all wired up yet, and so I'm hoping that by next demo we'll be able to show settings at least getting to the server, if not then getting back out to other clients. So we're getting closer. We thank you for your patience in this long cosmic journey.
Mazel tov. I love it. Yeah. Let's talk just very slightly. We've already touched on this a little bit, so let's just talk. Let's just talk slightly about the cosmic work week, and maybe I'll just take this on, which requires me to go here. Hello. The cosmic work week. The idea behind this is that because we're doing these videos on Saturday, and also like Saturday is Saturn's day, and Saturn wants you to work. Saturn wants the kind of gritty determination and 100%. Kind of persistence to like, almost to the point where like Saturn would like you to like, the ground is here, and this is Saturn's fist, and it wants to kind of grind you into that, like you are going into the mortar and pestle.
Yeah.
Now, we don't try to embrace all of that with Saturn, but it would be funny for us to not embrace that. And also,
Saturn is about the grind.
Saturn's about the grind.
Another metaphor might be the sharpening of the sword, right? You can't sharpen a sword without putting it on a grindstone and some of the metal coming off. And it's a process of removal, really, in a lot of ways, and grinding. But then it produces a sharp sword. Yeah.
So we use Saturday to grind, and then it seemed weird to us that we were like, well, we'll just take Saturday night off and then Sunday off, and then we'll start again our work week on Monday. The Dutch are also very good about putting boundaries around their time and energy, not because they've got like, not because they're like enabled or that they're petulant about the thing, but they say like, there is a time for work and there is a time for not work. And honoring both of those things is important within your livelihood, within your mental health, things like that.
Yeah.
So we just said, okay, fine. Sunday is off, Monday's off, Saturday's a work day. And it just makes more sense to take the luminaries off because Sunday is the sun's day. It's where you shine. It's where you radiate. Monday is the moon's day. That is very much about the emotional state and the reflection.
And the body too. Like I think, taking care of yourself is definitely like a Monday activity.
And if you have any questions about whether Monday is a bodily act, when we talk about like how humans interact with the days of the week and their energy, go to a gym on Monday. It's crazy. It's always crazy. And everyone said, oh, it's because they're coming off the weekend or whatever. Well, maybe that, but also maybe it's just like, we're here for the body. We're here for like inner connection. And what better way to get inner connection is to feel like grounded, the strong ground, and to flex your abs, get your core stable, and like lift some weights, or do some running, or do some Pilates.
Yeah. Although I have not been doing any ab exercises lately. However, my abs still hurt because we've been watching a hilarious
very funny show called Last One Laughing, LOL. If you don't know Last One Laughing, we watch Last One Laughing UK because that's kind of our jam when it comes to like very wry and dry humor. Hugely.
The British are just masters at humor.
The British are masters at humor. It's on Amazon. That kind of stinks, but that's fine.
Basically, it's just what it sounds like. You know, they're trying to not laugh, and they're all professional comedians trying to make each other laugh to eliminate them from the show.
Oh, it's so good. It's viciously competitive in the most delightful way.
Yeah. Because you're just trying to make people laugh.
Yeah.
And then people are trying not to laugh, and they're doing like some of the craziest stuff on both sides of that fence. And it's the kind of laughing, because I feel like I try to kind of like not laugh along with them a little bit, because you
want to try it
in the show, and then I just have like these really sore abs the next day because
you're trying
so clenched.
You're trying very hard. You know what, Mr. Henry? Do you know what the good viewer should do with the rest of their weekend and the rest of their day? Do you know what they should do?
I don't.
I think. What do you think they should do?
Jake Zukowski.
You didn't
what should the good viewer do with their day?
I want you to go. I want you to go pay a compliment to somebody. Go find a person like this and go pay a compliment. Take care. Be well. Go find someone to give a compliment to. They really want to hear it, even if they get embarrassed about it. Hey, you know what? They like it really secretively, and it'll make their day. We love seeing you every week. We're going to see you next week, and until then, like I said, take care, be well, and goodbye.
Goodbye.